This is actually, I think, probably my second or third video this month or in the last couple months on fear. And we're living in some fearful times. So I think that's why it keeps coming up. But also, there's fear. Like, I have specific things that I am fearful of, and I think I can't place it into a this life scenario. Like, I can't say I am fearful of this because this happened. Fear itself is irrational. We know this. It's something that we make up, we obsess about it, we think about it, we, become more. I mean, you can really make yourself afraid. You can really make yourself afraid. But even more irrational is, I'm not so sure that every fear, like, I can't explain why I have some of the fears that I have. And they're very specific fears. And I don't think they have anything to do with this particular life. But I believe in reincarnation, so I do believe that we carry things over from other lives. Karma, experiences that we've had. I think fears can come because something happened in another life or another dimension of life. I do think that we live simultaneous lives. But I think there are things that happen in what we'll call other lives that we bring with us in the current life that we're living. And it's a feeling. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like we're thinking, I'm afraid of this because this thing happened. Like, here's a perfect one. A lot of people are scared to death of drowning, but they've never had a drowning experience in their life. So how do they have these fears of drowning if they've never experienced it, if they've never, had this particular thing? I mean, do they watch like TV shows that are about drowning? I mean, there's other ways you can get fears, but these fears are really like deep fears that are difficult to break, fears that are hard to deal with, and fears that will make us make decisions that are not necessarily in our best interest. And that happens a lot. I have made fear-based decisions. I have done a video on fear-based decisions. You do not want to make fear-based decisions because they'll be wrong every time. No matter how right you think they are, when you're making that decision, they will be wrong. They will be wrong. Anyway, the way that you can deal with fear is to first mentally realize that it is irrational. It is not something that is going to happen. It is something that you are afraid might happen. But the more people who think it will happen or are afraid that it will happen, the more people manifest that particular thing into reality. So, in order for you to save yourself and save other people from certain situations, you need to overcome your fear. You need to stop playing into the media or whoever, wherever the fear is coming from. You have to stop playing into that. You have to, A, not listen to it. B, realize that it is mostly lies. If you're listening to it and it sounds like a bunch of fear, making a mental note that they are fear mongering and it's complete and utter crap, and not buying into whatever it is they're trying to make you afraid of, is one step to getting control of that fear. If friends and family are speaking to you about fearful things they're afraid of, help them realize that they are being afraid and that their fear is irrational. That just because they're afraid of it does not mean that it will happen. The more people that are afraid of it, the more people that think it is going to happen, the more likely it is to happen. So it is up to us, each of us as individuals, to make certain that we are doing the best we can to make sure that we're not manifesting things that we don't want into our life just because somebody's poking our fear button. I have had fears, certain fears, for years. And I finally feel, like years, like most of my life, I finally feel like I have gotten a grip on my fears. Like my fears don't have control of me anymore. Now, I will say that I am very aware that angels, guides, guardians are helping me with these fears. I am feeling downloads. I am feeling, changes along the way in regards to fears. But I am still feeling some of those fears. And some of those fears I have been working on. And I am closer today to saying I don't have any fears than I ever have in my life. I'm not going to say they're all gone. I don't know that they are. But I do now feel like I have a better grip on those fears, on knowing that those fears are ridiculous and not liking the feeling of fear. And I have managed to find ways to deal with those fears, things that I can do in my daily life to cut back on the fear and try to get a grip on it, to not have the fear anymore. And it is actually a kind of a process, and it is part mental, part spiritual, and part emotional, and maybe physical for some. It could be physical because our bodies hold all that energy, and that could be part of it for many people, although I haven't experienced that yet. So when you're feeling fearful, you have to break it down mentally, and say, okay, what is the possibility of this actually happening? And you have to break it down into little pieces. Like, when we have fear, it's really easy to magnify a bunch of different things that really don't have anything to do with the fear that we're feeling. So you have to break it down and you have to say, okay, this is one part of it, and this is one part of it, and this is one part of it, and this is one part of it. But really, this, and this do not matter. They are not valid. It's only this one thing right here that is scaring me or causing me to be fearful. And once you identify that one thing, then you can break it down into a reality of, will it actually come to fruition for me? And if it did, how would I deal with it? And honestly, if you have a fear of something, knowing that you are capable of handling that problem is the first step to relieving the fear. So you can use affirmations. Affirmations like, everything is in divine and perfect order right now. Or, I am confident, I am capable, I can handle anything. Feeling like you yourself, you as an individual can handle this situation, not as a group, not as a couple, not as, I am talking about you. You are all alone and you are faced with this situation. Can you handle that situation? It doesn't matter how many friends you have, if you have a partner, if you have this and that. If you are going off of somebody else's skills, or if you are relying on another person to fill a skill or fill a void that you can't fill, then you cannot competently feel like you can handle it. So that would be where your fear comes in. So you have to break it down to just you. Just you. If you were alone in the world and you had to deal with this situation, would you be able to? This situation that scares you. And if you can't deal with this situation and you die, I mean, if that's what your fear is, that you might die, do you have a fear of death? Do you need to work on your spirituality? Do you need to work on your relationship with God to take that fear away? But don't, when you're trying to work with fears, and I say this from experience, don't include anybody else in your fear work. Do it all on your own, because if you do it with a crutch, like, well, my husband is really good at this and he could handle that part of it, and your husband dies, then or he's not there, he's not available, or whatever, then you're back to the fear again. So you have to remove everybody from the situation in your mind and play it out. I am afraid of this. And break it down to the point where you know exactly how you would deal with it. Once you know you can deal with it, the fear goes away. While you're doing that, meditation will help. Subliminals for fear will help. Subliminals, I have a video about mind help you can listen to. You can listen to subliminals at night or when you're working out, or, different times where it helps you. It helps your mind become stronger to be able to deal with fear type things, fear type issues. The other thing is just eliminating the possibility of that fear. But the key is not eliminating things from your life because you're afraid. The key is learning to be confident enough in yourself to know that you can handle whatever it is you are afraid of. And I think part of the reason why we have fears is because of exactly that. We don't think we can handle whatever it is we're afraid of. And the feeling of fear is a horrible feeling. I mean, from somebody who has spent their entire life having certain fears about certain things. Some things I have no fear. I mean, for the most part, I am not a big fear type person. I'm not going to say I'm fearless, but I'm not really like, I don't have a lot of fears. I have like one or two that stick with me and and they won't go away. Well, they weren't going away. Now they're pretty much gone. So if you're like me and you just have a couple fears, the key is realizing that you are a strong and capable person and you can take care of whatever it is that you're afraid of. And if you feel like you can't, make adjustments so that you don't have that fear anymore. Adjust. And sometimes you can't. I'm looking at my dog, and that's one of my fears. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you don't have control over everything. There's a lot of things you don't have control over. But if you think you can handle them until they get to the point where God controls them, you won't be afraid. And once God controls it, it's out of your hands. At that point, you just accept and heal. Put yourself in a place where you feel capable. And that starts with a simple affirmation. I am strong. I am capable. Keep saying that over and over when you get scared. Do a little meditation. Work on some subliminals. Keep saying that affirmation and say it with conviction. And call on God and call on the angels to help you deal with that fear. Because they will help you. They will help you They will guide you to the way to deal with the fear, the way to heal the fear, or they will wipe it away completely. And they can do that for you. But you have to believe in the power of God, and you have to believe in spirituality. You can't you can't be talking crap about church on Sunday. Calling on your angels, okay? You need to have faith within. And when you call and you ask for the help, you expect that you will get it. You have faith that they will help you with that fear. And you need to do it because it's coming at people left, right, and center right now. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are just having a really hard time with fear. Blow that fear off. Being in fear for the next month before an event actually happens is not going to change the event. It might change the event if enough people think that that thing is going to happen. But you individually can't change what's going to happen. So you prepare for it. You don't be afraid of it. You turn it off. You don't listen to it. You don't allow other people to make you be afraid. That is a surefire way to manifest that actual thing happening. So everybody needs to shut it off. Everybody needs to say, no, you're not going to make me afraid. You're not going to put this into my head. Do not allow it to happen. Do not allow it to happen. Say no. And if nobody's watching this circus that's going on, that circus will stop. Love and blessings.